Welcome to Ladies Who Lore, the only podcast that dives deep into urban legends and bottles of wine. We're your hosts, Sammy,
Lindsay, and Jessie.
Now fill up your glasses, gather around the fire, and let's lore. Hi, lady.
Hi, Lore. Hi, Laura. Someone's going to think our names are Laura. Ladies Who Laura.
How are you guys?
Doing great, doing great. Are we going to get straight into, if anyone has a story? Because I do.
Oh.
All right. Well, I was babysitting a dog this week.
Nice.
Dogs can see stuff. Mm-hmm. I am now convinced. So I'm babysitting a dog, and I also recently moved in with my boyfriend. And the one hesitation I have about living with another person is that when I sleep alone, I get very vivid dreams. Always have. Mm-hmm. I have had some crazy things. Good stories for another time. And it was the night of the full moon. I did not have a boy there. And I was like, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to have some very lucid dreams. I can't wait. This is going to be very exciting. And the dog, Waffles, sleeps at the foot of the bed. In the middle of the night, around 3 a.m., the witching hour, if you will, I wake up to this dog pawing me. And growling at my closed bedroom door.
No!
Growling. I've never heard this dog growl. His name is Waffles.
No.
Okay? He's lovely. Doesn't growl.
No.
Growling. And had decided to wake me up. I don't know for how long he had been growling at the door. And he's staring, he's growling, he won't move, neck hair raised. And I'm like, what do I do? Is there someone out in the rest of my apartment? I get up, I listen, I can hear nothing. He will not move away from the spot that he is staring at.
Oh my God.
He goes to the door and starts sniffing all over the door.
Oh my God.
I have chills.
Yeah. I was freaked. I ended up sleeping with my phone in my bed the rest of the night. I go to the bathroom and then I'm like, you know what? I am going to see if anyone's out there. I'm going to turn on the lights.
Did you
tell people to leave? No, I just announced that I was going to come out and that you go if you're there.
Yeah.
And nothing was there. Checked the apartment, totally fine. Closed the door, locked it again, and just laid in bed. And he tried to wake me up one more time, growling.
Oh my God.
And every time I'd go back to sleep, craziest vivid dreams. Crazy dreams, and I ended up having this one about someone trying to communicate with me, a ghost of some sort. So I woke up and I was thinking about it. And the only explanation I have...
Oh my God.
Oh, that was so scary.
She's telling a ghost story.
Anyway, my boyfriend just walked in. No, it's good. That's
perfect timing, Tyler.
Anyway, the only explanation I have is that either Waffles heard someone outside or Waffles saw someone inside. And I kind of feel like a ghostly person that Waffles picked up on. Because when I'm asleep, I have these crazy experiences sometimes.
Have you saged the apartment?
No.
That makes me feel good that we're sitting here.
Next episode
you know me. I don't mind the spirits if they're there.
Clearly Waffles does.
Yeah. Anyway.
Jesus.
Good little story.
Happy you made it.
Thank you. I feel fine.
Me
I feel
too.
good. I feel braver than I ever have,
I love it. I love that Lindsay gets invigorated by spooky stuff that happens. She's bring it on, Otherworld.
I'm bored. I'm bored in this one.
Take up pottery.
Yeah. Read more books. I read a lot of books.
I know you do.
Okay.
I know.
That's so spooky.
Yeah. I'd kind of love some wine. Yeah, I would love
Would
wine.
you? Well, good thing I brought you some.
Hey.
So, I'm going to hand this to you, and you can tell me.
Ooh. It's called La Finca. It's a Malbec. I think La Finca means the farm.
I'm
or
seeing
or You're seeing mountains. I am also seeing mountains on this, but I feel that I know what La Finca is. Like, it's like an estate of some sort. But anyway, I don't think you chose it for that.
Do we think I know what it means?
No, that's
what I was going to say. No way Sammy spent time in a store being like, what in a different language? Okay, it's from Argentina. 2023 oak-aged Malbec.
I think the mountains are important. Is she doing Bigfoot?
No. No.
I don't know.
Are you... I'm getting maybe like Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's read about a little bit about it. It's a stunning purple color, intense, rich in black currant, vanilla, and spices. Remember when you got all the notes?
Yeah, that was wild.
That was insane. Maybe I shouldn't read
Yeah,
this.
I wish I could have done that blind again.
Sorry.
What? You didn't think there were enough notes in my barefoot bubbly from last episode?
There were a lot of notes.
Of sugar and sweet. This is for 3 months. Okay, I think my guess is the Appalachian Mountains.
Do you have a guess?
Oh, wait, no. I haven't even...
You're a better guess.
I think I know what it is.
Go.
Is it the soccer players that... No. Okay.
No.
That crashed in the...
No.
Okay, what's your guess, Lindsay?
Oh my god, I don't know. Mountains. What's the thing that happens in the mountains, Jesse? I feel like that's our clue.
So much.
Does it have to do with like Everest climbers?
No.
Plane crash?
No. I don't think you guys are going to get it.
You know, you tell us. I'm feeling uncreative.
So, last episode, Lindsay said that this podcast is just going to be her mispronouncing things.
Yes.
That's going to be me today, because it is based in Russia.
Oh!
So, this is the story of Dyatlov Pass.
Oh, fuck!
Yeah.
I don't know this at all.
Love this story.
Sorry. Jesse just hit me.
I got too excited.
So before I get into the story, shall we have some wine?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to need it for this one. Also, red for blood. I'm so excited.
Okay, good. That makes me happy. This is going to be really rough for me pronouncing. Sorry to all Russians out there. I really do apologize. World's smallest.
Did I ruin the pop by going?
I don't think it helps.
Okay. All right, Jesse.
Yes.
All right,
Scared to do this
Sammy.
over.
Thank you. It is a beautiful purple color.
It is.
I wonder if it tastes like black currant and vanilla.
I think it will.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Cheers. Nice. That's so good.
Really good.
Okay,
Wow.
La Finca, the farm.
Or estate.
Or Dyatlov Pass.
Exactly. So, let's get into it. Igor Dyatlov was born in 1936 near what is now Yekaterinburg, Russia.
Killed it.
Thank you. Basically, I'm just going to skip to when he was in college.
It was probably like a pretty normal childhood.
Exactly.
Adolescence ruined everything, and then he like found
That's
himself
exactly right.
in college.
This was his life story. This is all fact.
Yeah.
And he's in college now. He went to Ural Polytechnic Institute. And he was kind of like a tinkerer and all these things. He loved camping. He loved building things. Obviously, was very smart. And as part of the Soviet space program, they launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1. And he decided to build a telescope to watch this launch. He invited all his friends to come watch. Yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? You built a telescope? Okay, cool. But while he was at this polytechnic school, he led many wilderness trips, sometimes using equipment that he invented or improved on. And in late 1958, Dyatlov planned an expedition which involved a 16-day cross-country ski trip in the Urals.
This is why I don't ski.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
cross-country ski specifically,
I don't
too.
even care. It's just they're skiing, and I know they're gonna die.
Spoiler.
It's history, but shut up.
So 16 days in the snow.
Too long. That's too many days to be with anyone.
Correct.
16 days in the wilderness?
Yes.
That's a lot.
Correct. And this is the mountain range between Siberia and Russia. So this expedition that he was wanting to do, he ended up getting it approved by the Department of Physics and Technology. All of these things. So, at the age of 23...
So young.
Yeah. There's also someone younger.
No.
We're going to get there. No. At the age of 23, he recruited his classmate Zina Kolmogorova and his good friend Gregory Krivonishenko.
Awesome. Cool.
I think that's...
Is Zina a lady or is that also a guy? Do we know?
Zina is a woman.
Okay.
There was a total of 10 students and graduates who were all experienced winter campers and cross-country skiers that were going to follow him on this trek. The youngest being 20 years old, who was Zina, and the eldest being a 37-year-old who was added very last minute to this group, without any warning.
Kind of feels like someone's creepy uncle decided to join.
Yeah.
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 It's like, I'll join.
Yeah. Or other theories that people have.
Cool.
There's a whole thing, guys. So they left Sverdlovsk by train on January 23rd, I pronounced that correctly, and reached Ivdel on the 25th. They then traveled by bus and hired...
Sorry, what year is this?
I'm pretty sure it was 59 that they ended up leaving.
Cool.
Could have been 58. One of the 58s.
Cool.
Or 9s.
A good year.
Great year. They traveled by bus, hired a sled, and stayed in an abandoned mining settlement all before they even got to the mountains.
Spooky.
Yeah. At this time, one of the hikers, Yuri, left the group due to sciatica. And so at this time, there's only 9 hikers. And on January 28th, they headed out to the mountains. Their plan was to end their trip on February 12th in Vizay and telegram UPI, but when UPI never received the telegram on the 12th of February, they kind of just assumed that the group was delayed for like some snow or something happened.
Yeah, someone had to make too many bathroom trips.
Me.
Yeah. I would be like, guys, can we please stop again?
And after several days with no telegram, the families began to worry, obviously, and they started searching on February 21st for these people. And at this point, there were several search parties, including other students, which don't know why they let other students do that. I think that's wild to me. Mansi hunters, which were an indigenous group in Western Russia, local police, and military.
Damn.
Yeah, they even like brought helicopters and everything. Like, it was a huge expedition to find these people. And on the 26th, ski tracks were found by students, and then they ended up finding their tent on a remote mountain that the Mansi call the Kolot Shiakal, or Dead Mountain, is what the indigenous group call it. Yeah.
Don't go on a trip in the Dead Mountain.
Yeah. And a 16-day trip. Once arriving to the tent, they found no one.
No.
And the tent was slightly collapsed, and it was buried in snow. But they could still see a lot of it. And the poles that they used for holding up the tent were still perfectly intact. Inside the tent, once they dug it out fully, they saw that the front of the tent was deliberately slashed in places.
No.
And then everything was still neat and intact. So their shoes and boots and equipment were arranged nicely. Food was laid out. Clothes, cameras, journals, all placed inside very neatly.
Oh my god.
Kind of weird.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right? Full body chills.
They would have had to have disappeared or left. And why would you leave if the front was slashed open?
And why would you not
Taken?
leave all of your stuff?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Boots.
but why wouldn't you be panicked if you were taken?
Well, they would be panicked.
Well, then why was everything in order?
Yeah.
Well, because maybe it was like the middle of the night or whatever, and they were like prepping everything for the next day. Someone slashed
Something
open the
happened.
tent, pulled everybody out.
I'm very surprised that
Yeah. So, about 100 to 130 feet down from the tent, they found distinct footprints of people that were fast walking, not running, some with socks or bare feet.
Oh no.
And one seemed to be wearing only one boot. Which, again, it is roughly minus 13 to minus 22 degrees on this mountain where they were at this time.
Wow. So socks is a no-go. Like
Bare
just
feet
socks.
is a no-go. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
socks, anything is a no-go. Like, why?
Hypothermia?
Maybe.
Because it makes you feel hot and you take off your clothes? Is that even true?
I think that I read that somewhere, but I also read someone saying, like, one of the reports was like,
still wild.
They're how they were when they found them
wasn't.
Yeah, so spoilers, we find them.
Okay, you finished before I
you keep asking questions. We're moving forward.
Fair. Well, anyways, they followed... Good questions.
Thank you.
They followed footprints for a while until the footprints vanished at the edge of the forest. So they eventually found 2 bodies under a tree at the edge of the forest the next morning. They were next to the remains of a fire. This part I got 2 different, like, stories on, so I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe that they were only wearing underwear, which there are a few different theories on that. There were branches on the tree that were cut up with a knife, but no knife was ever found.
Whoa.
And there were, again, this part is not confirmed fully, but people have said that there were also pieces of skin on the tree. There's some gore in this, just a heads up.
Yeah.
I took out a lot of the gore. But,
wow. Okay.
So the branches specifically were, a few of them were pretty high, but it looked as if they were specifically cut by a knife. So someone had to climb the tree, cut this down to use it for, I'm guessing, firewood. So a little bit later, I think it might have been that day, they ended up finding Dyatlov and Zina, and they were further up facing their tent with their fists clenched when they found them. As
Standing upright?
I don't believe so. As if they were headed back towards the tent. Dyatlov's jacket was an unbuttoned sleeveless vest with no shoes, wearing socks though. So that was kind of the part where the examiners had said that doesn't feel like someone with hypothermia.
No. Sounds like you got out and put on whatever was next to him and ran.
Yeah. Zina died due to hypothermia and a violent accident.
Whoa.
We don't know what.
They don't have any, like, show of it on her body? Like, what?
If you want to look into the audience, there is a website that has, I believe it is dyatlovpass.com, and it has all photos that they took themselves and photos of the crime scene, including all of the body's images when found.
What?
Whoa.
It is fascinating. Some of them are a little hard to look at because you actively see people's faces that are passed in the snow. It's scary, but
Oh my God.
it was fascinating. And then they go over all of the medical examiner's notes of every person's injuries. I didn't go into all the details, but it is fascinating to look at.
How long were they missing?
Didn't they start, like, pretty quickly after?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, this is like...
Yeah, I think it was like 6 days or something. I don't
Okay,
remember the
got
exact. They found it on the 5 days. They found it on the 26th. They started the party on the 21st.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's, like, so quick into the journey.
Yeah.
That's really fast.
Wow.
Oh. How far were they?
No,
No,
you
that's
answered
right.
the question.
Search part. Okay, I did the right thing. I did
did
it,
the right
guys.
thing.
And podcast over.
Fakest fucking laugh I've ever heard in my life.
Let me have a sip of wine. So
It's
I
because
know.
I'm scared and I want to know the end. I'm like,
So-
that's funny, go.
I know, my palms are sweating. Okay.
We're getting towards the
No, I
end,
know this
actually.
story. I love this story.
At this point, a homicide investigation had started, led by Ivanov, and they had set up a tent and contents. They excavated and took the tent and the contents inside the tent, took a bunch of photos, and then reset that up inside the police station to examine further what could have happened. And this part, I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but either way, it is said that a seamstress came into the police station for a fitting for something, and she discovered, which I'm not sure if she did, but they discovered that the slashes on the inside of the tent, or like the front of the tent, were made from the inside. So someone slashed open the tent on the
Needed
inside.
to get it out.
Yeah, rather than someone trying to get
Wow.
in.
Fascinating.
Oh,
And again,
wow.
a tent would have like some type of opening.
Zipper, yeah.
I don't know what they would use. I don't know if they had zippers at this point. I
they
assume so on tents, but
Find heating equipment in the tent. Like, they could have stayed warm if they needed to.
they had a stove
Okay,
thing.
so
they did use that for heat and food.
It feels like this was an emergency
yes,
situation.
it does. Yeah.
Yes.
Which
Hypothermia, off my list.
I know that there's like an avalanche theory.
100% there is.
Yes. So I'm sure you'll get into it, but even that, there's still some aspects of this that are so fishy to be an avalanche. You know what I mean?
I agree. They were all very seasoned winter campers.
Okay.
They knew the fatal conditions of going out of their tent with no clothes, no shoes, all of that. So that kind of leads people to believe, okay, maybe it was an avalanche.
Yeah.
Because they had to rush out of it. But if it was an avalanche, why were the footprints not running? And why is the tent still fully intact?
Why are they?
True.
Yeah. Why were they walking?
Like, yes, it was damaged a little, but not enough in my professional opinion of all of my avalanches that I know of. I feel like it would be fully destroyed, right? And like more trees would be knocked down.
If they
Unless-
heard one,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah,
But,
unless-
like, yeah.
Unless it was like a false call,
Maybe.
you know?
Maybe.
Like maybe they heard one,
Yeah,
they felt
exactly.
something,
Right.
and dipped real quick, and it ended up not being an avalanche.
But again, I would run.
I would
If
run
I
too.
had
would
half my
also
clothes
run.
on, it would feel
Or
like
if
a
I heard
situation
it
where
and I
need
thought
to run.
maybe there was enough time, I would have put on shoes at the
Yeah,
minimum. Because they're
exactly.
seasoned campers. They know the fatal injuries of minus 13 to
Yeah.
22 degrees.
Yeti. It's a Yeti.
It's a Yeti. So at this point, 4 bodies were still missing. But on May 5th, when the snow kind of melted a bit, a Mansi hunter and his dog found a deep snow den with branches laid on the ground 250 feet from the tree that the first bodies were found at. So inside this hole, there was also tattered clothing. And in some way, I don't know how they did this, but they kind of used this machine to like excavate and find the 4 other bodies nearby. And they did find those 4 bodies laying together in a stream under 10 feet of snow. And the stream, I think at this point, because I saw the photos, I believe it was like rushing at this point. And this is what I find so fascinating is if this was an avalanche, let's say. One of the bodies was like, there was a kind of like a hill almost in the stream, and her knees were on the floor and she was kind of leaned up against the hill in the river. The 3 others were on top. One of them, I don't remember how he was sitting, but the other 2 kind of were like spooning, it looked like.
For warmth, maybe?
Yeah.
Right. But again, I'm curious as to how the whole avalanche thing comes into it, because if they died from the avalanche and got stuck there, how were they not more messed up? Like,
Yeah, they
were
definitely didn't
spooning?
die from the avalanche.
Right.
I would say they died from hypothermia after they left their tent. So
But
quickly.
caused by an
But
avalanche.
I just listened to a different podcast talk about an avalanche, and if you're like huddled in a place bracing yourself, you're not going to be messed up from the avalanche. You're going to die of hypothermia or suffocation.
Yeah.
It's not like it thrashes you around and all
That's
that shit
fair.
if you're already like cemented somewhere. I see how that could be
Yes.
like they're not mangled,
Which
they're
is
not like
the most logical explanation.
you know.
So one had a very large fracture, like a major gash to the head.
oof, ouch.
2 of them had crushed chests with broken ribs.
Okay.
And 1 had a hemorrhage in the heart. The medical examiner said this is similar to car crash injuries.
Ooh.
So
Avalanche.
could be avalanche. 1 was missing eyes.
What? What? Oh,
Yeah,
animals.
1 body
Animals?
animals. Exactly. And 1 was missing both eyes. Sorry, 1 was missing 1 eye. 1 was missing both eyes and the tongue and part of her upper lip. I believe it was a her.
Wait, I'm
Not
sorry.
Animals.
That's so specific.
Correct.
Yeah. If you're an animal, you don't go for the tongue.
You're not being choosy about where you're going.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to be somewhere inside.
Right. They were also wearing clothing that was cut off, and the clothes and the bodies had high levels of radiation. And at this point, there was someone that had said, I don't know who the someone was because it wasn't mentioned, but had said that because the bodies were in rushing water for so long prior to being found, that even then the radiation had worn off quite a bit, and there was still a lot of radiation.
I don't feel like it's an avalanche anymore.
At the end of May, Ivanov closed the investigation as it didn't seem to be a homicide, and the area was then off limits to skiers and hikers for years.
Ivanov, come on.
Well, in 1990, Ivanov was interviewed and wrote an article called The Enigma of Fireballs, where he admitted that he was under pressure to leave out his opinions on the investigation and withdrew key materials on the case.
Shut up! Oh my god!
Dude,
you're kidding.
It goes all the way to the top.
But we'll see.
Actually, I take that
Oh my
back.
god, the twists and turns
yes.
here. Just keep going.
I don't want to be in trouble with the Russian government.
I don't either. I think it was an avalanche. Anyways, he had to leave out. This is where it gets interesting and more of like the lore. He had to leave out.
I'm sorry, did you say this is where it gets interesting? This has been interesting.
So I literally have loved this story for years.
Same.
He had to leave out any testimonies of UFOs or strange phenomena, including a photo of flying spheres drawn by Mansi hunters. So he believed that it was UFOs. He stated that he and one other person found some, this was like in his article, young pine trees at the edge of the forest that had burn marks, but those marks did not have concentric form or some other pattern. There was no epicenter. There was more to this as well.
Oh, I have a theory.
So, the other thing that they found on the bodies, there were burn marks on their hair, on their bodies, that like didn't have an explanation. There was also apparently burn marks on the tops of trees. As if a fireball happened from a UFO. This is his theories.
Wait, I'm sorry. That would explain the lack of clothing if they were on fire, but it wouldn't explain the tent.
But their clothing wasn't burned, though.
No, but it was cut off. What if it's not a fire we know? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could have been so many things. But fascinating that it was the tops of
And they went
trees.
Towards the trees, did they not?
They did.
So
Prior to
if
them walking out of their tent.
Yeah, I mean, if I heard a crazy thing in my tent, saw a fireball, heard whatever, and was like, those trees on fire, what just happened?
But would you cut yourself out of your tent and not put on clothes?
No, I would put on clothes. No, I'm
Right.
trying to... If it seemed like imminently something
Right,
could be. Like
right.
multiple fireballs.
Yeah.
Multiple whatever.
Which is what it seems like from
Right,
his
like
point.
I'd be like,
And he felt like they were very pointed at targets from his theories.
Interesting.
So that's
What was this for again? What were they doing?
They wanted to go on an expedition.
That's it?
That's so sad.
I didn't have any, like...
No.
They do have journals and notes that you can read.
Yeah,
up until,
I
obviously.
need to know why they were going there.
Well, that's a lot of the reason that people have theories on two of the people. One of them being the, I think, 30...
Yeah, the dude who joined late.
Yeah, the 37-year-old. Because... Yeah, he randomly joined late without notice fully. Like, it was right before this happened. And some people have thought, like, maybe he was part of KGB. Maybe he was part of the government. Maybe there was something that they were doing up there.
Yeah, maybe if there was, like, some sort of governmental, like facility or something where they're testing out mass weaponry, and they just happened to stumble upon it and needed to be taken out.
And then they got their tongues.
One tongue.
Three
guys.
I forgot the part that I
like
skipped.
Okay, yeah.
That was why I was really confused. When I was like, I know I talked about the burns, but I can't find it because I skipped it. The medical examiner found blackened fingers, 3rd-degree burns. One had burned hair on one side and a burnt sock. A 5th body had a minor fracture to his skull. That's not the burn, but yeah.
Only thing about the burns that I will say is if it was hypothermia, this is totally contradicting the thing I said about hypothermia earlier, but if you're that cold, maybe you go closer to the fire and accidentally burn yourself because you're like, I'm gonna die.
But not tops of trees.
Yes, I don't
That's
know how
what's
I
weird.
got the trees.
Yeah, it's just very odd. There are a lot of things that can lead to an avalanche. There are a lot of things that can lead to fireballs and UFOs. There are a lot of things... No. Yeah. So in 2019, the case was actually reopened, and the prosecutor's office went on an expedition to Dyatlov Pass to test 3 theories. One being an avalanche, one being snow slab, and one being a hurricane.
What's a snow slab?
The subtle typing. I think it's like an avalanche,
like a
only
wind.
it's like a weight
chunk
of a snow coming off. Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to like the mountain shaking. It's
I like
a
that.
chunk.
Yeah. I'm going to go
Like
with
on
that.
a roof?
Yep.
You know how
I meant to look it up, and then I immediately forgot because I was looking at other things.
It's another
problem.
mystery.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Unless you look it up yourself. Yeah, so an avalanche, a snow slab, and a hurricane.
Hurricane.
Yeah, I also questioned that. Okay. Oh my gosh, sorry. Did you guys feel the earthquake last night?
There was an earthquake last night?
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
I remember
I
1 or
woke up
3 a.m.
thinking there was an earthquake.
There was
and
a
then I
major
was like,
earthquake.
oh, Tyler's just itching his ear.
And I felt it, and I woke up being like, that's an earthquake.
Oh
There
my
was.
god.
There was.
I'm glad that I
Anyways.
didn't feel that.
It was
I'll
scary.
be looking that up later.
Anyways, so sorry. So, in July of 2020, it was announced that they declared it an avalanche.
Cover up.
Yeah, it's still odd. Their ski poles were intact. Their tent was intact. All the things, which is weird for an avalanche. I'm sorry, but it feels weird. Now, the theories on it.
Yes.
I'm not going to go into what every theory is, but here are what theories are found.
Okay.
There are a ton more. So there's theories that are more natural, like weather, avalanche, lightning, hurricane, wind. There are anomalies, which infrared wind.
I like wind.
I also like wind.
Okay, go on.
I don't like wind. What are you talking about?
You would have to walk slowly in really strong wind because you're like bracing yourself against the
But
wind.
wind
Could have
in
been like
conjunction
trucks.
with something else, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also the tent maybe.
Because
would be
again,
more.
with wind too, like how can you explain the car crash type
And
injuries?
burn. The burn
Right.
marks.
Yeah, I'm pointing more towards conspiracy theory.
But
I love conspiracies
I do
on
think
this.
wind could explain the car crash. If it's like that intense of wind and you're just kind of like against someone.
Also, if things get blown around and you get hit by them,
Yeah,
that makes sense. But
Yeah.
not the burn marks.
not
but
the
not the
burn
burn
marks.
marks. So infrared sound, I feel like this has to be with something else involved, because with that, it kind of explained that people would hear this sound that would freak them out so much that they would leave their tent without clothes.
Which kind of goes to like a testing ground.
Yep. Gravity fluctuation. I didn't know this was a thing. I don't even know if it is a thing. But where gravity could like fluctuate in the moment and literally throw them around.
What?
I don't
Never
know.
heard of that ever.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's how I feel, but this is what is stated.
For sure.
Animals like the normal bear, Wolverine, all the things. Yetis.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Love that.
Yeah. But I feel like if it were to be a Yeti, you would see Yeti footprints as well as the footprints they found.
Unless
You know?
they're super smart, cover their tracks.
They could be.
Leave no witnesses.
It could have been paranormal, which they had stated time vortex,
This called
UFOs.
Dead. Why is it called Dead Mountain? Anyone ever say that?
Probably because of the cold and the snow.
Okay. What if
That's
there's
my
Why
no
not
guess.
Winter Wonderland Mountain?
You know what? Let's rename it.
I don't think that's appropriate.
I do have another theory that, again, shout out Radiolab because I love it. There are such things as mini black holes. There are mini black holes that if one gets to Earth, it's like mini enough that like it is a problem because it will create fire, I believe. It's crazy. I'll just send you the episode because I'm not qualified to be talking about, but the one time that a scientist believed that it happened sounds very, very similar to this. Like the physics of what would happen if a mini black hole, of which there are lots traveling through the universe in theoretical physics, if it came to Earth and got through Earth's atmosphere, it would basically zoom through and destroy things in its path and have fire involved.
I want to learn more about that because that's fascinating.
The tent.
But
wouldn't it
at
be-
that point, maybe they like heard something. Let's say, for example, like crashed
Yeah.
through Earth's atmosphere. They heard something. They freaked out. They came out of their tent,
Avalanche.
right?
Yeah.
And then they kind of left, And at that point, they were not near their tent fully. Or maybe it did cause an avalanche as well.
Interesting.
If that were the case.
Okay, other theory. You slash through your tent, not dressed, because someone inside went crazy.
Also, yes.
Is that on the list?
I believe so. Arctic hysteria, which if someone is so cold, they can go
Crazy.
Yes.
Not so.
And the website for Dyatlov Pass goes really in depth into each of these. I wasn't going to. I did read a little bit about most of them, but it's too long to go into it, so I highly recommend looking it up because it is very fascinating. There are theories that are more criminal, such as man-made disasters of secret launches. There's theories of murder, KGB military testing site. Manzi people may have done this themselves, but I agree. They helped with the investigation. From everything I've read, they seem like very lovely people. So I don't agree with that one, but that is one of the theories. A snowmobile could have done those car crash injuries. Or a group altercation.
Wouldn't there be blood everywhere if there was
You would think so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Group altercation is the other one of someone in the group.
I mean, that helps with this. They split up. Also,
Yes.
I will say if I were trying to get out of my tent and then I got out of my tent and there was someone in there who was causing me danger and it's pitch black out, it's in the night, I would be walking very slowly away.
Yeah.
Because you cannot run or else they will know where you're going.
Yeah.
Or you just can't fucking see anything.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I choose.
I still think it's
crazy
weird that
person.
people left and then made a fire by the tree.
Yeah.
Which wasn't too far away from the campsite.
Right, 100
And
feet.
it doesn't explain the radiation. That's crazy.
The radiation that's the thing that gets me the most. That and the burnt tips
why
of
were
trees.
they fucking radioactive? Unless that area is polluted in some sort of way. And
Which it could have been, and maybe that's why the
But I think,
investigation was
if I
shut
remember
down.
correctly, I don't fully remember, so I apologize if this is wrong. But I think that they did tests of other things, and it was not radioactive.
What was not?
Like
Just
other
the
things in the
nature?
area.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure they
just
did
them?
tests of other things.
But if it was a giant cover-up, there was a crime, some sort of murder, whatever, they find the radiation, government steps in, shut it down because we can't investigate this area.
But coroner's report's already out.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
I think that only the 4 had radiation that were that had the burn marks. The others didn't.
that's fucking crazy.
If I remember correctly.
Freaking out.
Yeah.
I feel like they stumbled upon something in their leaving of the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't leave the tent because of the thing, is my guess.
The person.
I think they left the tent panicked, all split up.
Well, yeah.
And
if
then
you're slashing
some
the
group
inside, you're
stumbled
panicked.
upon something crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it could be a huge blend of all these
Yeah, I
things.
feel like
I
there's a
think
blend.
that it could be.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Which is why I wanted to do this rather than just say it's an because it's. I
Yeah.
don't think it was just
I don't think
an
it's an
avalanche.
No,
I don't.
no, not with
All
the
of
radiation
these things
and
would
the birds.
not still be intact. They just wouldn't. In my.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did all the tents have the slash marks or just one?
I think they only had the one tent.
For 16 people?
9.
9 people? One tent?
Big tent?
Maybe they had more. I don't know.
I
I don't know. I was assuming it was one tent as well.
I don't.
I
do
only
camping.
know the one tent.
I don't know.
The last theories that people have are teleportation or time travel, but this one I think is what the website had said as well is kind of mistaken with a movie that came out based off of Dyatlov Pass called Devil's Pass, which is what I saw that got me started into this deep dive years ago.
Right.
I don't even know that movie.
So it's a very good horror movie in which I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end because I do think you should watch it at some point if you like scary things and more paranormal things, but they kind of get that mixed in with potentially what happened. But yeah, I highly recommend that movie. But that is Dyatlov Pass and the mystery behind that.
wow.
Cheers. That's
creepy.
so scary.
Yeah.
And I really you know how people ask if there's one mystery in the world that you want you would want answered.
This one.
That might be up there for me.
This is my mystery, yes.
Huh.
Ever since I saw that movie and, like, researched it prior to them actually discovering it was an avalanche, I wanted to know the answers. And I still
It's just
want to know.
crazy.
Because it can't be an avalanche. Only. Like, it can't, in my theory.
It's
It's
not.
not. No, that was a cover-up, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think the quick ruling of the avalanche, I feel, feels very much like a...
Shut it down now.
Shut down the investigation. But I do think that it's possible that it was shut it down not because this initial thing happened because of the government, but because it was too near and
Right.
too adjacent to other things.
Agreed.
And it is weird that... I forgot his name already.
Ivanov?
Yeah. He had to... like...
Leave out key parts.
Which, again, in his... Those key parts were UFOs, they were fireballs, but, like, still, there were things that he had to leave out, which is weird to me.
And he came out in the 90s saying this, so this was right after the fall of the Soviet Union. It doesn't seem like if you stumble upon a government conspiracy, it's A-okay to, like, write
Talk
an
about
op-ed
it.
I
later
think
about
that's
it, right?
anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's say I went crazy, I don't know, and I had proof about the U.S. government and something that,
Oh my God,
in my
yeah.
theory, I did.
You'd be gone.
Whether it's, like, let's say I made it up, I would not do that.
Yeah.
That would not be good.
Yeah. Damn. I wonder how old Ivanov was when he came out about all that other stuff. Because he might have been old enough to be like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I want to say, like,
I'm almost gone
50s.
anyway.
Exactly.
Oh, 50s? That's not old.
Well, it feels like there's a lot to dig into here, and I might end up going down a rabbit hole tonight.
Absolutely. I'm going to be thinking about this for a hot minute. I already have been.
Literally, like, this comes up at least once a month for me.
I appreciate an open-ended lore.
Yeah, very
I do.
spooky. Can we vow never to try and do cross-country skiing on something called the Dead Mountain?
I think we can.
For 16 days.
or
Good.
for one.
With a random 37-year-old. Fine with me.
And shake. All right, well, good job, Sammy. That was really spooky.
That's my story for you.
Wow.
And DM us if you have any, like, theories or know
Yeah.
something we don't know.
Please.
Oh my gosh. Someone
tell
comes
me if
into
I
the
got it
DMs,
wrong.
they're like, I guess I can say it now.
Breaking news.
Oh, that'd be fun though.
Wow.
All right.
I will find you the mini black holes episode too.
Please,
because
I do wanna
think
hear
that's
that.
a very compelling episode.
Yeah.
No one's ever observed it actually happening, but theoretically, that is what would happen.
Well, I have a new fear unlocked.
Yeah,
I don't
me
want to
too.
encounter
Mini
a
black
mini
holes.
black hole.
I think you've got other things to worry about way before that, you know?
Or fireballs.
If you
and
get
UFOs.
got by a mini black hole and not any of these other things,
What a way
like
to go.
climate change, murderers, car crash, congrats.
Thank you so much.
Honestly, kind of a cool way to go.
Great way to go.
Wait, are we wanting the mini black hole? What's happening? Well, good job. We'll see you next week. No, 2 weeks. Fuck, what did we say?
You'll be hearing from us.
You'll be hearing.
You're in big trouble, mister.
You'll hear from my lawyers.
Our people will contact your people.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Ladies who learn! No, guys, we have to stop doing it so well.
Ladies Who Lore is produced and edited by Jesse Vane, Lindsay Whistler, and Sammy Winchester. Music was created by Lindsay Whistler. Today's sources can be found in the show notes. Want some lore? Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ladies Who Lore. And feel free to send us your stories to ladieswholorepod@gmail.com.